you can make the same argument about Tap. Is that really Nav's song?
It's definitely not Nav's song.
Exactly, right.
Never think of Nav. I don't even think I let Nav get off the hook.
I have never seen a DJ play Nav's verse. Ever.
Does Nav has a verse?
Ever.
Oh boy.
And that shit. Like, it's Meek shit, the crowd goes crazy, and then song's over. Like, you need the hook.
Double in the a-hole, and that's it.
And that's it, and we're out.
Oh my God.
I want to say, when he says uno, dos, trejo, I want to say like uno, Danny, trejo. So, like, that's how
Trejo's tacos?
Yeah, uno, Danny, trejo.
Trejo's donuts?
Say-ho.
That's a conversation that we should have, like, when features are bigger than the actual artist. Of the
Let's
song.
come with some examples.
Yeah.
I can think of a few right off the top.
Off top.
Off
the
rip.
tinner.
Yeah.
Yo. Welcome back to the MikiDz Podcast,
Yes,
episode 33. Scottie Pippen.
Nah. Patrick Ewing, baby.
Grant Hill.
MikiWAR.
I'll give you Patrick Ewing. We're fresh off of
DJ Rell.
the episode 32 with Charlie Sloth. Man, what a convo.
Oh,
Man.
yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it or heard it,
it.
go and do yourself a favor and go listen to
It's
it.
a must listen, man. The man
absolutely.
said he had his own fire in the booth.
Man.
He had bars.
Yeah,
and he's got bars.
No, literally, he's got bars.
Yeah.
No, literally.
And he's got a bar fully stocked with his vodka.
Charlie, don't think we didn't forget that you invited us to go DJ.
Yeah, I got to shoot Phenom an email.
Yeah, we're going to talk about
Shit,
that.
Phenom broke that shit up.
Phenom and Prospect, we're coming for you. We're going out to the UK.
We're on our way.
Play. Let us know.
We actually have a lot to talk about, but before we get into all that, we are hosting our first Linkup, right?
Yup.
Yeah.
In Boston. Shout out to Big Night Entertainment. Shout out to Randy, DJ Costa, Vinny Vibe, all those guys.
Yes, sir.
So yeah,
Beatsource.
so what we're doing as a MikiDz pod, we're actually going out. We're going to be in Connecticut at the Foxwood Casino on February 25th, which is a Tuesday night. It should be a Tuesday night. And A-Track is performing at Shrine, which is their industry EDM-ish kind of night. And there will be a link up there. We will be in attendance. We're not technically. We're hanging out. We're not hosting, but there will be bites. There will be alcohol. So we want the community to come out to this venue.
Come see Dainjazone drink.
That's what I'm saying.
Come see me drink water.
Mickey and I will probably be fucked up, but
Yeah. Oh yeah, and our rooms are within the hotel, so that's just come on, man. I got you. I'll carry you guys. No, yeah, easy.
Joe has carried me plenty of times.
You literally have to walk like 20 feet from the club to the elevator.
Me and Rell had that energy when they had that link up in Vegas. For road.
Oh yeah.
So
now we get 2 days of that.
Yeah.
And Sean's gonna be with us.
Okay.
Lord.
Let's stay focused.
And that's just Tuesday. Let's get into
That's
Wednesday.
just Tuesday. Wednesday, we will be moving on up to Boston.
Yes.
Where we will host a link up at Empire Restaurant in Seaport, which is right around the corner from the Grand.
Yeah.
We will be doing a live pod in a separate room. So we're going to be pulling a handful of guys in and out. Randy said he's down to do his own episode. We're going to get his thoughts on bookings and Big Night Live and all that.
Tight.
That's an incredible restaurant. So there will be some good light bites there. And then after that, we'll be at the Grand. MikiWAR will be co-headlining with A-Track.
It's 2020.
And so they will be holding down the new hip-hop night at the Grand on that Wednesday. I am just thoroughly excited for all the DJs, for as many DJs as possible to come out to this link up, especially the one that we're hosting. Boston the Grand is a dope venue. Empire is a dope restaurant. And I know there are so many guys out there and that are within driving range. You know, New York's not that far. A lot of cities and states are near Boston. So I know a lot of guys are going to drive in. Shout out to Jason Weiss and Montone. They're flying in for that, and they run shit out in Philly.
That's what's up.
And I'm trying to get Butch. I was talking about Playhouse. I was trying to recruit him to come on the trip.
Trying to get an LA native to come to Boston.
Yeah. I was talking to VTech about it. I said, it's worth it, you know, if you want to invest, if you want to level up, if you want to get out and meet other DJs and meet other bookers and players, like this is the way to go with the link up. I mean, this is
Look,
the best way.
If you're a DJ, you're always talking about leveling up. Just that's
Come.
it. Just come.
Bring
just pull
your
up,
ass.
Yeah.
Come, talk it up, shake hands, whatever.
Don't worry, you good. Because if I could get in, anyone could get in.
Yeah, exactly. But make sure to come connect with us. Don't be shy. Last time we were at a Linkup, people would DM me later. They said like, "Oh, like, yo, nice to see you," but they didn't come and say hi. Nah, come say what's up. Come chop it up with us. We'll be at the Linkup the entire time, and if we pick you to come talk, chop it up, maybe give us some feedback on the pod,
absolutely,
or the MikiDz Show. Feel free.
Yeah, I got nothing else to say about that. Just I'm just thoroughly excited for that event.
Pull up,
and honestly, do it before we blow up because we got big things coming.
Yeah, big things.
Big.
Are we that guys right now? Oh, we just wait.
No, we're humble now.
We're humble now.
No, we're humble.
But we're preparing them for it. Like, y'all don't know what I got in
we'll
store.
Marinate the ego.
Yeah, y'all don't know what we got in store. We got something coming. We sound like those guys.
I mean, but they don't know if we got something in store. We do. We don't.
What we do have in store is a Linkup, so make sure you're there.
Fellas, how we doing, man? It's been
great.
Not too long.
Yeah.
But we're fresh off of the MikiDz Show.
Yup.
Ooh, yeah.
And what a show it was.
Indeed it was.
Yeah. Make sure you guys go check that out. We had Rob Swift and Mr. Sinister, known, and they go by the Odd Couple.
Odd Couple.
And wow.
Formerly, not formerly, X-Men.
Executioners.
Yeah. Like, what a way to kick the season off.
Can we fanboy out a little bit now?
Let's do it.
Now it's over.
Listen.
They were looking at us like, yeah. Come on, get it out of your system.
Yeah.
All right, let's get down to the questions.
But they really were like appreciative. They were super.
Absolutely.
They're the nicest guys ever, and they were grateful to be on the show and on our side. I guess I can only speak for myself, but I was like, I looked at Danger like we had a moment. I was like, bro, never in my life watching scratch documentaries, the DVDs, the different, battles. Like, did I think we'd have Rob Swift, and Mr. Sinister, of course, rest in peace, Rock Raider, like huge inspirations to our early DJ careers. And, of course, there was just a skill set that kind of separated us from our goals.
Oh, yeah.
Who we had in mind.
Man.
Yeah.
We also had a scratch moment with you. Can you explain how Mr. Sinister stole your?
Oh man, he was doing, and I wish I was trying to see if he was gonna do it again. I was gonna get on video. He was doing these 1-click orbits, and he was like, he was doing it for like 10 minutes straight. And I was like, look at Mr. Sinister stealing my moves of me trying to steal his moves.
What'd you say? He sounds like what I want to sound like.
He sounds like what I want to sound like when I try to sound like him.
Exactly.
Right.
Something like that, yeah.
Beautiful. That was a moment.
Oh, man.
But what a great show. Make sure you guys can go back to the Facebook.
It should be up by now.
DJcity Facebook, I believe.
Over 145 shares by the end of the show on Facebook, while they were live.
And we appreciate you guys. I mean, a lot of the OG listeners and viewers of the show and supporters. We're back, baby.
We're back, and we're making moves, man. We had a meeting with Phenom. I don't know if we want to get too much into that right now, but it was,
productive.
It was very productive. Phenom is, definitely on our side. Not that he's not on anybody else's side on this team, but yeah, man.
Nobody on the team is not against us, but
sure.
All right.
But no, definitely. Shit. So no, it was yesterday was a very productive day. Weekends, Rell. How was your weekend? We last couple weekends. Anything happened significant in the last couple weekends?
Bro,
Super Bowl weekend. We didn't get into it.
It was all a blur. Yeah, Super Bowl weekend. We didn't
Did you DJ anywhere? Did you?
I was at 82 Lounge after the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was slow, man. I mean, I actually did someone a favor, and because they were like, "Yo, would you mind doing it?" They want someone that's kind of, I'm like, all right, I'll go down there and do it. But I expected it to be slow. Ain't nobody gonna go play games after watching the game.
Yeah.
So it's not a Niner heavy LA.
Yeah, and that's what I said because he had asked me. He was like, "Who do you got?" And I said, the business side of me would like to see the 49ers win because it would be great for Cali to catch a W right now. Like they just need Cali just needs a W regardless if it's San Francisco, LA, whatever.
Yep.
But I said the sports fan of me and the realist of me knows that the Chiefs are the better team. So I think they're going to win. I just would be like to see it. So
real quick, you ever see that a side-by-side picture of Patrick Mahomes and Steph Curry with his daughter?
Nah.
They said, remember when Patrick Mahomes was Riley Curry?
Wow.
Don't you feel old?
Wow.
What?
Wow.
All right, go ahead.
Wow. So did 82 Lounge this week. This past weekend, just did some private gig shit for a couple of days. To the point where I missed my man set at fucking Playhouse.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, pretty much. And then like you said, MikiDz Show last night was amazing. It was dope. I was appreciative. Like I said, executioners I always looked at the executioners as the East Coast version of the Beat Junkies.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like those were the cats that I grew up when I was starting to get into DJing a little bit. Those are the cats that I got into. And then it just got crazy because I told you about the name story with me and Rock Raider or whatever.
Yeah.
And I shared that story with Rob Swift, and he was like, "Yo, that's insane."
Yeah.
Like, I showed him my ID and everything. But yeah, it was a cool weekend. Relax, still doing wedding shit. I'm exhausted.
I need to take a moment, and I said this on the show, but you brought up them being the Beat Junkies of the West or of the East.
Yeah, of the East, yeah.
The amount of talent in the 90s for DJs.
Oh my God.
I still can't get over it. I'm
God.
I'm 10 plus years into DJing. The amount of talent, A-Track, Crazed, Beat Junkies, Scratch Pickles, Executioners, and obviously Cuba is a part of the Pickles. And like, holy shit, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember talking to Sprite about his old battle routines, and he said, everything that you can think of has already been done.
Yeah.
At this point, you're just rearranging what has already been done if you're a battle DJ.
They were like the early 2000s dunk contests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what other tricks were there really?
Yeah. You can say that about every industry, right? I think nowadays, whether it's sports, fashion, music, everything is being recycled.
Yeah. True.
I'll jump in with my weekend since yours is more fresher than because I want to go back to my Super Bowl weekend. So I did Atlantic City Dare, which is a fun spot, one of the newer venues out there. Had a great time. I got to play. Now I understand we get to play Dreams and Nightmares for like a hip hop crowd or even a Latin crowd or a mixed crowd. I felt like I was playing Dreams and Nightmares for a group of white people, and that shit went off because Atlantic City's like an hour from Philly, hour and a half. So. And I asked the book before, I was like, yo, because I know a lot of clubs frown upon this shit. Can I drop Dreams and Nightmares? She's like, absolutely. I hope you do.
Yeah.
All right. So went with that, and that was a fun night. Then I went to the Grand the next day, and originally I was supposed to be the headliner on this night. But then some guy by the name of Roddy Rich bumped me.
Some guy.
I heard of that guy.
Yeah, he sold a few records. Yeah. So this is a crazy story.
He might have been one of our music picks almost a year ago.
A year ago. Crazy story. So this guy was booked as I'm probably wrong about this, but the House of Blues in Boston. He had a show, and this is in between the Super Bowl weekend.
Yeah.
He had a show on a Friday. Then he was gonna go to the Super Bowl to do 11 on Miami. And then come back on Monday to do the second show in Boston, okay?
Got you.
When they booked the show 3-4 months out, they weren't anticipating the #1 album of Billboard.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially beating out a Bieber pop-up single, you know?
Right.
So I believe that venue contacted Randy over at Big Night Live, which is the newer live entertainment venue that's connected to the Garden, about 10 minutes from the Grand. It's right in the middle of where all the madness is out there. And reached out to Randy. Randy said, yeah, because we have double the capacity, or general admission area is bigger, and we have 40 plus tables in this venue. So they took it, and there was just too many people wanting to come out for the show. So when this happened, my set was on a Saturday at the Grand. All this was blasted either Wednesday or Thursday. Big Night Live with Roddy Ricch sold out within 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
All the tables sold out within 2 days. These table buyers, I like to think a majority of them weren't originally going to the House of Blues or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Because that other venue was more of a GA venue.
Right.
So you got 40 plus tables, and I'm there. I'm watching this show. I wanted to see him before I went to go open or co-headline with him.
Co-headline. That's the new. That's what we do.
That's what we're doing here on out. 2020. Everyone's co-headlining.
Co-headline.
So I'm looking around, and not just looking around during the box and balling, but even Big Step or less popular songs.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's singing. Like, these aren't dudes just stunning just to stun because this is the place to be. Everybody in that fucking venue was singing the words to every song. And I was just blown away.
You surprised by that?
Boston, yeah. This is in New York.
Racist.
No, it has nothing to do with race. But you'd expect it in New York. A bigger, I understand you can chalk up Boston as a big city. But when you think big city, you think Chicago, LA,
New York.
Maybe even San Fran, New York, Miami.
Right.
Okay. But I've been saying Boston is a very underrated city and they have a lot of money. It's just a matter of those big night live venues or big night entertainment venues, getting their venues, spread out around the country, letting people know we're fucking here,
Yeah.
So I was surprised by all that. And I think originally Esco was supposed to do that big night live before Roddy. So they moved Esco to the Grand.
Right.
So I got done at 12:30. Shout out to the real quick. I'm gonna shout out the openers. Actually, I'll get into Montone opening for me at Atlantic City because he did something that was really cool. But Selena opened up for me at the Grand, and she did a great job.
Co-headline. She
co-headlined with me.
Right.
Right. No, she I've heard her before open. She's really dope. So Esco, I get done at 12:30 and Esco goes on. And then Roddy goes on like at 1:30 and the place is slammed. Okay. So here's another crazy thing that speaks to Roddy's current legendary status. The Grand, I'm not going to throw out numbers, but they set a record this past New Year's Eve for most bottle sales.
On New Year's Eve.
On New Year's Eve.
Okay.
And you would expect that everyone makes their most money on New Year's Eve.
Absolutely.
Within 2 days, within 2 days of bringing Roddy to the Grand, they broke their New Year's Eve record in selling bottles. Okay. So all that just
crazy how
fascinates me. So I had a great time. It was dope to do a little bit of an opening set and just to get the people going. I played a little bit of familiar house music, funky, because I'm figuring they're going to hear hip hop from here on out. Let me mix it up, do something a little different. Then I stayed an extra day to watch a Super Bowl at the Big Night Live venues or Big Night Entertainment venues, and it was dope. But I want to go back to what Monotone did over at Dare. And so when he opened for me, the crowd was just sizzling.
Mm-hmm.
They're there, they're present, they're not going crazy, they're simmering, right? And then about 15 minutes before I go on, he goes up to a TJR bounce track. It probably was bounce. And when he did that, I poked my head up. Like, I see what he's trying to do. So people are throwing their hands up, and I see action happening. Like, okay, this is telling. This lets me know this crowd is cool with this.
Right.
Because the last time I did Dare,
Mm-hmm.
it was an all hip hop crowd. They say, look, if you want to get booked here again, keep it simple and just play fucking hip hop. Like, throw in some familiar remixes, hip hop remixes or whatever. Don't go too far left with it, but keep it familiar. So I'm thinking that same game plan coming back. But then when I saw Montone do that, I was like, all right, now I know where I can go.
Same night of the week?
Friday night. When I did it the first time, it was a Sunday night, which is industry. It's probably people that don't want to hear EDM anymore because they
so
heard
different
it
day of the
from-
week.
For sure.
So Monotone does that and then he gets into some I want to say it was hip. I might have this flip flop, But he gets into hip hop, and I say, yo, the last 2 songs, can you play like Latin? I just want to see where it goes. So he does it, and all right, cool. I know where I can go, where I got to go. So I wanted to point that out, and it was a great opening set. It couldn't have been better to set up the headliner. But I really want to point out that EDM moment because that gave me an idea of where the crowd's going to be. If they didn't put their hands up real crazy, I would have started out with something different. I would have started out with something hip hop. But typically when you do these types of venues, especially casino venues, you want to hit them up with something up-tempo that's familiar, not some obscure Tiesto shit or Oliver Heldon. You want to give them something familiar. In fact, thinking about it as I'm talking, I was going to start out with hip-hop because of the previous booking. But when I saw that, I said, no, I'm going to go this way, a couple songs, and I'm going to come back down. So, yeah, that was my weekend over there. Then the following weekend, I just stepped out and watched you at Playhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good time.
Let me ask before you go on. Let me ask you this: Do you think Boston brung in cats like Esco and Roddy to make that statement? Like our city's here, like to kind of make some noise in their city? Because like you said, major cities. Most of people say when you say major cities, it's L.A., New York, Chicago, Miami.
Well, this is nothing new for the Grand. Like I'm going to be fully transparent. When I was still doing the Shrine. I was still doing Shrine, but not even in any kind of rotation. I just got back into doing Shrine because I had done it 2 or 3 other times before that in the last 8 years. Okay. But I saw the Grand get announced and I saw Tiesto, Drake. I saw other super big names. And I was like, fuck, man, I don't know if, like, I didn't even consider hitting up Randy, yo, I want to get put on. Because I saw who they were bringing. And then after that, Travis Scott, and then I got put on. And then I go out a day early before Sac Noel does their industry night at the Grand. And I see Travis Scott. So it's no surprise to me that they would have a big name, but they're just not, you probably won't see, I don't know, like at this point, like an up and coming artist that's buzzing,
like
that
a
has
Baby King,
like a hit, like a Baby King, someone like that. You're probably not going to see them at the Grand.
Right.
And then on top of that, Roddy's going to go somewhere and party. No one in Boston can afford him. So at this point, it's just a matter of, does Roddy want to make money or does he just want to go chill at a hip hop club?
Yeah.
Granted, if he goes to the Grand, they're going to give him a hip hop DJ. When Travis Scott did the Grand, they brought in Spade. Yeah, Spade from the East Coast. They brought him in. In fact, I want to say it was like a chess move where they saw it out in the distance. Travis Scott's going to be out here. Let's bring in someone familiar, and then we'll slowly bring in Travis.
Yeah.
And then Chase B got put on the bill, and then Travis Scott got added to the bill. So yeah, they're figuring out a way to make their presence announced and felt, but they're gonna go about it the way they want to go about it. They're not just gonna bring in.
Cool. I mean, that's good. Like you said, you were surprised that the people in the city of Boston were responding to his music.
Yeah.
Just kind of looking at it, like being surprised that Boston would even bring an artist of that caliber out, you know what I mean, who is not a Tiesto or Drake even, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? But cool. Mike, Playhouse, how was it?
Playhouse. Well, real quick, the week before that, which was the Super Bowl weekend, shout out to Butch, DJ Butch, who he has this spot that he's helping push in Koreatown. Place was Numbers Bar, actually, now that I remember the name. Super dope environment, great food, and like it felt like Niner gang.
Course.
And so that was fun to watch that as I was trying to, root on the Chiefs quietly.
Yeah,
you was a lone wolf in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, but Butch made some money on the win, and so did one of the other homies. But so I was there, and then I did Prohibition the week before, or the Friday before. Shout out to Darren, all the guys over there. It was a good time with a nice open format room. But so Playhouse was this past Friday, and it was fun to say the least. went in there, and Joe has more of like a, eye in the sky experience than I did. The stage is always a kind of a coin flip on like what the energy is going to be on stage.
Yeah.
And shout out to Memphis. I like to give him a lot of shit, and I'm gonna show him some love. But the man is passionate about his job and his position, and we've learned to be really good friends after some bumpy starts. But he's a good dude. Shout out to my man Tyrone also.
Yeah.
And but that night, the reason why it was so intriguing was we had Sincere host the night, and Sincere is also a very passionate dude, and he's got a lot of energy. That's a nice way to put it. And good dude. I mean, the man definitely loves the spotlight and knows how to make his presence felt in many ways. And
Welcome
the reason I bring it up is before he came in, which felt like 1-ish, I was trying to just find where I can kind of go with it. And I think what always feels like home there is like that, like Bay Area, Kamaya, but also like LA, RJ, like just like hip hop, like 90, 100 BPM shit, right?
I can tell from 12:30 to 1 you were
like
trying to figure it out.
Feeling it out, trying to see where the rest of the night's gonna go, right? And so I was like kind of running through some stuff from where I got left off and to where eventually what felt like, all right, cool, now let's get into it, right? Mm-hmm. And a little foreplay, right? Mm-hmm. And so once we got into it, it was there, I felt. And then there was a very interesting moment that happened that Joe wasn't aware of until I told him later, and I don't think a lot of the people in the crowd even knew. So I get to the point where I'm building up, and I'm like, you know what? Life is Good is going to be that record. I think, like, let me get to that point. And so when I got to that point, while the record's playing, I think I teased the future part and then brought it to the top with Sincere, like really reintroduced it. And then I think he had so much energy and he didn't realize this. He turns around and kicks my laptop off the stand. And it falls 6 feet into the bottom of the stage. Mm-hmm. Like,
music cut off?
Yes. And so I just see my laptop disappear. And I didn't react. I just looked at him. Like, the hell just happened? Yeah. Like, and I'm thinking my laptop is done. I'm calling it an L. I'm thinking the screen's over. My night's over. Play off the USB. Somebody else to jump on there, right? And is it the womp womp? Damn. So
is it the womp 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 womp?
So I'm thinking it's a wrap. And so shout out to my Tyrone. He went down there. He found my laptop.
Damn.
Pulled it out. Yeah.
That shit was underneath the stage, huh?
Yeah. And so we just plug it right back in, and it's just stuck in like a loading screen. And I'm like, fuck. So then I unplugged the USB because I remember something about like if it's trying to restart and something's plugged in, tries to read whatever that is as a hard drive. Yeah. And so when I unplugged it, because I was trying to do a hard reset, right?
Yeah, you have to with that new laptop.
To, right? My shit's fucking black. Like, I don't know what the fuck. So then, like, I'm not freaking out. I'm still kind of like chill. But keep in mind, while all of that's going on, there's no music. Yeah. And so I'm trying to tell Sincere, like, keep talking.
Well, let me interrupt you. Let me tell you why it didn't sound that bad, because when you go to Playhouse, sometimes Sincere will just
moments.
stop.
Yeah, stop the music.
Yeah, he'll stop the music.
And he'll just talk. And if you don't know the culture of Playhouse or even just a Hollywood A-list venue, you know, you're going to be like, what the fuck's going on? But because these people understand what he does as Sincere and how he gets the people going, he'll stop the music for a minute and just talk and he'll let the room breathe.
Yeah.
And he'll be quiet and he'll talk some shit, but everything he says hits.
Yeah.
Every word, every sentence that comes out hits and sticks with you. Yeah. And then boom, you get back into it.
And then you got something to drop off of that, which I can read pretty well with him. The last time I was there, I was with him. I think that's why they brought us back together, because we had a pretty solid night. And so I'm going to take the compliment that it was unnoticeable, right? Because ultimately what ended up happening was Tyrone hits me. He's like, yo, do you want to play Peter or do you want to play the box? And I'm like, play PETA because I'm gonna come back in with the box because that's the only way I can think of like resetting the energy, going back into where we left off, and then continuing the night, right?
Yeah.
Assuming my laptop turns back on.
Yeah.
So then unplugged the laptop from the USB, did a hard reset, it turned off, turned back on, and got back up within 45 seconds, and then the box, right? Like cut it off, the box, bring in the energy, and then after that, like energy was high, Dreams and Nightmares, Finito, all the other regular hit records, and then I got into this mode with like playing for women, right? Which is initially like, I'm not even saying like that's not what I'm used to, but in that room, it's tricky how you do that.
Yeah.
And so at that point, I'm gonna argue that even a record like High Fashion or Slide by her, records like that just gets women to sing along with their crew and get it on the gram, because it's
a different vibe.
Later on in that night, I went through some of the promoters' videos and I didn't feel as much energy on stage because all the energy was coming from Sincere and like the crew. He had a bunch of girls on stage and that was kind of like clouding my vision. But I saw a lot of videos and there was just really some like cool moments happening in certain places.
I'll be honest with you. The biggest moment of the night was when you played your block of throwback 2000 songs, and before that was
Snap?
her. Yeah, the Snap stuff, and before that was her.
Yeah.
That I didn't see any bottles come out, but it was also later on in the night, so people were probably done spending. But that to me was the best part. It was bigger than Ballin'. It was bigger than the box.
Yeah.
Which is telling, because that makes me think that furthers my point and others' points of that older music coming back. And obviously there's a time and place to play within your set. But if I can get, by I mean you or just any DJ that does Playhouse, if I can get these people to move, which is arguably the most stubborn crowd in America. Because no, from 12:30 to 1, it's
tough.
You don't know exactly where to go if it's not like from 12:30 to 1. I can tell you're playing I Like by Chica and you're playing Out West by.
Well, hold on. I Like was strictly because he was there buying the table. That's the only reason. And I had to play that record twice that night.
And you let two verses ride. I was like,
well, yeah, because it's his.
So I didn't know that, but of course I'm thinking like, all right, he's really trying some shit out, and
trying to break a record,
and not to continue to get further from my point, but I was talking to Butch about just how the scene and what's working, what's not. He said it's crazy, man. Like early in the night, he said, if you play Out West by Jack Boys here, people won't respond. But if you play it at Hyde on a Thursday, it's one of the biggest songs of the night. That's just
same thing with Derriere on Fridays. Like
yeah. And I was talking, I said, end of the day, you can slice the pie however you want. End of the day, a Friday and Saturday crowd is more of a familiar music crowd.
Yeah.
Okay. No, whether it's hip hop, EDM, whatever.
Weekend Warriors.
You can, with certain crowds, you can go a little bit deeper in your hip hop crates to do that. So you played it like 12:40, 12:37 with 15 seconds. Okay. You played it around that time though.
Yeah.
I was making notes in my head. No, you played around that time and the crowd just wasn't into, not in, let me rephrase. They weren't, it's not that they weren't into it. They were just still getting settled and just going through the motions of whatever you do from 12:30 to 1.
Yeah.
But back to my point of bringing back that old school shit. Yeah, that was to me the best part of the night where everyone was saying, you had Brandon on demand standing on him. I know when he stands on his own table, he's feeling really good. He's soft.
That's the sign, one of the signs.
He was on his own table and he was singing to the Her songs, the Her Slide joint. So, I mean, man, wait till we get on playlist. All right. So yeah, that was my whole point about the older stuff working. And
it's funny you say that because I had this conversation literally with Rell, because the first time I did that set like I hadn't done that set in a long time. Like we're almost to a point where like it's so funny because we'll get into organization a little bit, but I had that like Snap Hyphy Crunk crate in my hard drive, but not in my Serato for whatever reason when I dragged everything over, because it's a sub crate to another crate, right?
Yeah.
And so when I finally dragged that over was when I played Sidebar. And that was the first time I really like ran through that.
Yeah.
And then I always looked at Some Cut and Best in the World as a pivot moment.
Some cut arguably top 5 songs of the night.
And so, and I felt like, to me, because it's Best in the World and then I played Her, to me, it's a pivot moment where it's like, okay, can I go more current or do I stay here? And so it's like a fork in the road. And it's funny, I was explaining this to somebody else earlier and they thought that, wow, you guys think about it this heavily. Like, yes.
Yeah, nigga.
Yeah. This is what determines what picture you're painting. And that night, again, like it was one of those nights where it's like, yeah, I needed 30 minutes to test everything and see where we're going. Like, is the East Coast shit gonna work at all? People want to hear it. Like, I snuck in some stuff, like, and this is behind the scenes, but I text a good amount of the staff, bartenders, servers, promoters, like, yo, is there anything specific you want to hear tonight? And some of those things, like out west, like, wasn't sure, but somebody asked for it, so I snuck it in there. You know, the what's that other UK record I played? Stormzy. Like, I played.
I looked at Butch and said, "Is he playing Stormzy right now?"
Yeah,
but there's nothing wrong with the question. It was just like, he's really playing Stormzy right now.
Yeah, and so I snuck it in because to me, it also creates moments for other people around.
Yeah,
and
there was that group from Africa, or no, I'm sorry, Jamaica. You had that group from Jamaica, and those cats, they fuck with like that UK hip hop shit. Yeah.
And so, like, you know, everybody's gonna have their moments, and I think it was just one of those nights where it's like, ultimately, I got a lot of great feedback, but to me, what's more precious and valuable is like hearing your point of view, because you have that ear, like the professional ear. Yeah. Same with Butch. I had a whole text conversation with him earlier today, like, yo, like, what'd you think? And because I'm playing Argyle for him coming up, and I want to know, like, all right, cool. How does it translate at your other venues or whatever, you know?
Yeah, he was saying Argyle's not as tough because he's
more
not as tough as it's a mixed crowd, so you can be a little bit more.
Nothing's
lenient.
as tough as
and not to be you know, like, continue like beating on the same, I don't know what the term is, but to keep going on Playhouse, right? Because we talk about it so much, but it is kind of a home base for all of us to get our homework done.
Yeah, you
know, it's like, it is definitely like where we go, kind of the trenches, if you will. And I think it's just one of those venues when you get to play it, it just really gives you that firsthand experience of like, once you go out anywhere else, honestly, it's like a walk in the park. Yeah. You know?
2 more things before we get into organization. One, I went to see Peso, shout out to him, obviously a very good friend of ours, about a month ago at Playhouse. And it was a little bit of a slower night. And of course, I'm paying close attention to every song he's playing, what time he's playing it. I'm trying to justify why he would do this. And not that I question anything he did.
Yeah.
Like, I thoroughly enjoy going to a club and breaking a DJ set down and in my head answering why he did it at this time.
Yeah.
So I noticed, like, typically you would play Dreams and Nightmares around 1:15 at Playhouse, but he played it around somewhere between 12:45 and 1. And I told him about that, and I asked him, and he said, I only played it that early because I kind of had a cheat code. I knew where the bottle sales were. So I wanted to get more bottles pushed out earlier.
Yeah.
Because you figure if you have 2, possibly 3 waves of bottles at one table, and you haven't tapped into that second wave yet.
Yeah.
Or that first wave even, you know, or gone through that first wave, you know, and the numbers are a little low. So that was fascinating to me because I'm thinking, what if we all, if that's what the focus is, if we're, you know, maybe not as heavily invested in the bottle sales, like a lot of clubs probably, at least they don't look at it like that, even though bottles, they rely on it.
Yeah.
But what if we knew where the bottle sales were throughout the night, and you can tell your DJ, hey, it's all good with us if you want to go into a little bit deeper hip hop to drive the sales, because let's be honest, no one's popping bottles to EDM shit. You know, at least you're not waiting for that EDM track to pop bottles. You're
Yeah,
waiting
if it's
for
not the venue.
you're waiting for more hip hop. Like I did MikiWAR a couple months ago, and when I got into my 70 BPM bag, fucking bottles are flying out, and I was like, oh shit, there they go, like one after another. And then when I went back to regular stuff, they, you know, the top 40 stuff, they were done. So I just thought that was interesting. What if we all knew like where we are with bottle sales? And, you know, that could only help us, because if you look at when we have a MikiWAR, and every time we have him, bar sales or bottle sales up, well, there's something about that, what he does. That's why we bring him back.
Yeah.
So what if I knew, you know, or what if Rell knew where the bottle sales were at that point, and he knew where to go, because again, it connects with selling.
Yeah, that communication between the venue and the DJ is really important. I've been to a couple of venues where like they're literally discussing like the type of alcohol that this client likes, and to the like what kind of music they like, and that's been communicated to me. I constantly talk to a lot of hosts and text them beforehand. And one thing that was interesting about Friday night was that it was a cold night. It was cold that night. Yeah. And there was 3 pretty big parties. One was an athlete that backed out and moved over their table to the next night.
Yeah.
And I wasn't aware of that, but I can see like prime tables that they may have held out for certain people. And then now it's like, okay, no, we need to shift so that the energy can shift back into the room. And so even reading that determines for me, like I don't know if I'm ready to drop Dreams and Nightmares if I don't see a main table in front of me that's not filled up. Because then now they show up, how am I going to entice them to spend money with the rest of the room? Yeah. And so that's another thing that, you know, it's like for me, like the set's going to be the set. Like it's going to be, you're going to read off energy, you're going to read off what you need to do, but definitely, you know, any other DJ, I would recommend to definitely have that line of communication if you're in a headline slot or you're on the mic. Like I like to even, not a lot of people do this, but like if you have a map with like who to shout out, like Avenue is kind of easy because it's smaller, and they always have the sign
with the name
facing
on it.
you before they pivot to wherever it's gonna go. And I'm like
you can't miss that shit. You cannot miss that shit.
To make sure, like I remember I read a sign once off of a reflection of a mirror, and I was like, how do you put that? Okay, and then, you know, happy birthday, Susie. Like, you know, all right, SZA, whatever. So, but it's important to like get those moments, because as you hype them up, or like you said, if you know where they're from, if I know there's a table from Jamaica, like, yo, let's go there.
Well, yeah, and you can't miss it when they bring out the Jamaican flag.
True.
But at that, like a playhouse, your head's kind of in your shit. You're not really, you know, because I last time when I spun, I missed it. And you tapped me, say, yo, they're from Jamaica, they're popping bottles. Oh.
Did you play some dance?
And that's why, like, that's what's important about all of us.
I don't remember. I don't think I did.
When we go out, like I'll do that for you or whoever. If I know that there's a spender or an athlete, like I'll point it out so that you can build off of that, you know? And I think I'll never fucking mind that. Like any information I can get down. So yeah, it was a fun night.
You guys been noticing like a conversation going on with Twitter and shit, even our conversation with Phenom last night about how you organize your crates.
Man, it's a never ending combo.
So we had an episode where we talked about how we kick our sets off, how we organize in regards to, right? We didn't get into organizing within the crate, right?
Nah, I don't think we ever did.
Okay. Yeah, so yesterday we had a meeting with Phenom talking about playlists and properly, and just making playlists more, make the playlist capable of connecting with the DJ. And then last night, which is actually a week and a day ago, Joseph Get Right says, I want to know, basically asks, how do you guys organize your crates? How do you organize your music? He tags me, Conflict, and forgot someone else.
Well, his main thing was iTunes, right?
Yeah, he asked, do you guys use iTunes? And all three of us agree we've never used iTunes to organize. We never relied on it. Rell said people had crashes and you don't want to rely on that.
I've always known that when getting on Serato, and I think Joe and I were kind of within our group, we were kind of the last ones to grab Serato at the time. Yeah. And I even think even at that time, we actually recorded our actual vinyl to put on our Serato
Bruh.
as opposed to like just download MP3s.
Trust.
But anyways, when we got to the point where we were getting MP3s, there was always that issue with iTunes. You know, everyone was still using iPods at that time, and with iTunes always crashing. I was like, yo, I don't want to, use that as where I want to store my music. And I think we, if I'm not mistaken, the three of us were introduced to how to use it within our internal hard drive anyways.
Yeah.
Right? If I'm not mistaken. So it wasn't, we didn't get, and when we received Serato, we weren't introduced to using iTunes as an option to store your music. So I think eventually we saw that it was an option, but we never like utilized it or anything. And I've had zero issues since, knock on wood.
That's real wood. I remember a lot of people using iTunes.
Yeah, I do too.
It just seems like one extra step you don't need to do.
Yeah.
Well, or many extra steps.
Yeah, probably. But I think it also, for a while there, you're like, I think at some point, all three of us at some point might have thought, like, damn, are we doing it wrong? Because everybody else, like so many people, were doing that, going that route. And I think, I don't know, I never really had a desire or like want to switch over.
Yeah.
I think I've always been comfortable with the hard drive to crate.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's address some things.
Yeah. I think for me it was definitely, and another thing was I had an iPod, so I used iTunes for my iPod. And at the time we were downloading, or I should say myself, I was downloading a lot of songs with intros. So I was like, I don't want to mix my DJing music with my listening music. Yeah. Even if it was the same songs.
Right.
I'm not trying to listen to 8 bars instrumentals before a song fucking comes on. Right. So, I always wanted to keep that separate, right? Like,
gotta rub that
nipple. Was like, I don't know if you ever like experienced a short period of time where you was like, sometimes your DJ music got, combined with what you listen to.
No, Joe had a Zoom.
I tried.
So it was always like, what the fuck? How did this song get on here? I'm not trying to listen to 8 bars of this shit. So I do remember that. You were always against Apple products for some reason or something like
Joe's
that.
always been against the grain.
Yeah. You always been like, I don't want to do what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
But Joe.
Look what everybody else is doing. Why we got to do what everybody else is doing?
I want to say, I'm surprised you went on Serato when we got on Serato and you didn't go like.
No, you went to Tractor.
You went to Tractor, right?
I went to Tractor because Tractor was more advanced at that time.
But it was too advanced.
But then I was like, this is so complicated to sort.
To mix.
Yeah.
Fuck?
You think?
I had to get help to just like fuck this. I'll just use Serato.
Yeah, what was the other
Torque.
I didn't bother.
Yeah. Torque was because I remember
Revolution.
Was on that shit.
He was on that shit. I mean, shout out to
Rev. Organization inside the crates.
Yeah, so I mean, I can go on for a while right now about how I break my shit down.
Just give us a brief
Should we expose our crates?
I can create
a screenshot.
No, because I don't want.
You got some racist shit in there.
Hell yeah!
No,
I'm sure you got a crate in there that says nigger music.
Got nothing like that.
Russ trying to get us canceled.
No, I just don't want to like expose exactly like my patterns of track. I mean, technically we're all kind of playing the same shit, but regardless. So I'll simplify this as best I can without giving you guys a visual. So download music from DJcity, of course, right?
Of course.
There.
Yes, or Beatsource. Okay.
Or Beatsource.
Or Beatsource.
And so within your music file, I have my crates and very, specific 80s, house, hip hop, okay?
Yeah, genres,
yeah.
Genres.
Okay, so you have genre. So I drag those tracks into, and it's on the internal hard drive, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then I open up Serato. And I go to my files, and then I go to my music crates, and then I get to all of them, and I drag. Let's say I go to my hip hop crate, I drag all those songs into my hip hop crate on Serato.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I have everything there. Now, so everything's there, but that's not the crate I'm searching through when I'm DJing.
It's just the home where it lives.
My whole thing with DJing is you play specific songs. Let's just say it's a club. I know there are different parties and different ways of doing it, and you can cater your sub crates to those parties. My whole thing is keep it as simple as possible. If I know I'm going to play these 10 songs guaranteed, I'm going to have that in one crate. So what I do is, instead of clicking on BPM and letting them arrange themselves that way, or key or comments or whatever, I click on the number. So they are within a specific number range, and I can mix and move them around, right?
I was going to ask you if you played down the list.
Well, no, but I do. So this is where it might get a little complicated. I do organize them in a BPM way.
Yeah.
But they're not in 65, 66, 67. You know what I mean? I organize them in a BPM way, but if I know this 70 BPM track works with this chunk of 65, I put it there.
Okay.
Because that's so I do in blocks. Okay. So I have from track, let's say we're going by numbers. I have track 200 through 215. Okay. Those are my remix, 100 BPM remixes, anything from 100 to 105, right? So a Tatiana remix, a Despacito remix, Taste remix, Pure Water, Danger Edit, of course. All that shit. And they're the specific bootleg styles, right? They're like Moombahton remixes, call them.
Yeah.
I know within that from 200 to 215, I can pick and choose any of those tracks and they all work together.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the same track every night or a specific order every night. I know within that clump, I can pick and choose. And I'm not going to sit there for 15 songs.
Yeah.
Okay? So I'm going to step out after I'm always trying to be 5 to 10 songs ahead in my prepare folder. After I play that, then I'm going to dip into another BPM range. So I'll scroll down that one crate where I have all my go-to hits for the club.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to scroll down to my 60 BPM shit, let's call it Bodak Yellow. I'm going to go there. And then it's like, okay, this is my hip-hop sing-along section, right? If I'm doing a top 40 club. Everyone knows the words to All the Way Turned Up, Antidote, We Them Boys, etc.
So you're using the numerical order, and that's what you're putting as your sort feature.
Right.
And then from there, you're dragging things into that main crate, which is hip hop, and then organizing.
Well, it's not just hip hop. Let's just call it. I call it hip hop, but let's just call it top 40. It's really top 40. Okay. No EDM in that crate.
Right.
Okay. So anything from 100 to 110 or whatever, 100 to 55.
But when you drop a new song in there, you're gonna drag it to where you feel like it fits.
Yeah, and this is why I drag it to where it fits, because I like the quick mix. I keep it moving, and sometimes a quick mix is 4 to 8 bars. Sometimes it's a verse and a chorus, right? Or a bridge and a chorus. And because I'm always trying to figure out what to do next or what to do 5 songs from now, this is what works best for me. And you got to understand who you are as a person. Are you a visual guy or do you do shit based off memory? Well, I'm a visual guy. One time I got put in front of someone else's laptop, it was one of those moments where it was like, yeah, play a song, I was like, oh, okay, sure. And I was like, fuck, I don't know what to play.
Right.
I know we're in the 70 BPM range, but what I had to have a moment to just silence my thoughts and just think, what does my screen look like at this moment? So I thought about work. I thought about pop that. So then I played that, but whatever I saw on his list.
So you burned him on a birthday break, on a bathroom break?
Huh?
So you burned him on a bathroom break?
No, he was just like, just play anything. Just play. Like, he stepped aside and played.
He was fucked up, huh?
I don't know. They just wanted me to play a song like it was going to change anything. So, but I appreciate the love.
Right.
So that's because I'm a visual guy. I got to see what's in front of me. Now, I know when I get to around the 80 BPM range, I've been sitting in hip hop for a while. So I will have a track around that range like that I can drop, like a ballin'. I can echo out or have a DJcity edit that has like an explosion, something like that.
Slam edit, yeah.
A slam, thank you. I have a slam edit that will take me back up to 97 BPMs, or you have your own custom made transitions. And I have that there just in case they're over this hip hop shit.
Yeah.
And they want to go back up, or they're over this slow tempo shit. They want to go back up. So when you organize your crates, like I see some people organize it like, let me also say there is no wrong way to do this. You do what works best for you, right? Yep. But you got to figure out what works best for you. What works best for DJ P. had posted a video of what he does. And he goes into iTunes and he puts in parentheses under the tracks, if it's a dance track, he puts DNC, I think. And then if it's track, it works also in bass. He puts bass and then house. And so when he types in what kind of set he wants, all those tracks come up.
Sure.
That's great. But when I need the fucking heaters, when I need the go-tos, I can look directly at this Hip Hop 1 crate, which is really a top 40 crate. And I know exactly where I'm going to go. Now, I also have like an opening crate. When I open up at Tao, I got nothing but opening songs for Tao. And if I want to, and if I have to go a little bit deeper in my hip hop, like if I'm doing an Aria Vista, I'm going to put a Hip Hop 2 crate together.
Yeah.
And in a numeric way, what are my go-to fillers in my Hip Hop 2 crates? So I'm putting those as a top 10 or 20. So I can go directly to those fillers and throw those in. When I did Playhouse, I chunked it up from the first 15, from 12:30 to 12:45. I have these songs. That's my opening Playhouse. My heater Playhouse crate is from 12:45 to about 1:15.
Yep.
And then my closing Playhouse crate is the fun shit,
Yep.
like the shit you played, from 1:15 to close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I think some people get stuck and feel like there's this finite way of doing it. When you do it the numeric way, you can mix and match however you want it. I look at my sets all the time, or when I get done, and I think, you know what would have been dope if I played this? I wasn't thinking at the time because I was moving really quick. Let me drag this in there and let me add it in that space. So next time, I'm going to hit them upside the head with this and they won't expect it. And when I have new tracks, sometimes the new tracks get buried in all the shit I already have set up because I'm overlooking it. I'll throw it at the bottom. And if I have that moment and be like, let me see what else I can throw in, I'll go directly to the bottom of that Hip Hop 1 crate and say, oh shit, I just added this. Let me throw it in there. So there's different ways of doing it. I honestly, you guys won't know until you figure out, until you really dissect and really get into your own crates and say, how can I simplify this? Like, don't do it just to be organized. Do it to satisfy the night. If you're doing Sadiq in Hollywood, which is like an R&B, old school R&B night mixed with some new shit, you're probably going to have a crate and clumps of tracks, because of their drum pattern, because of the rhythm or the energy. You're going to have them clumped together. If I'm going to play No Guidance and I got them on that R&B vibe, which is really hard to get them in the heat of the night, but it could also be a part of the set that separates you, I'm also going to have Invented Sex by Trey Songz, John Hart, Whose Booty Is This, and I Beat the Pussy Up. Man, those are all sing-along songs that I'm clumping together. I'm going to hit them with that, and then I'm going to be out back to some other shit. You know what I'm saying? So
beat the pussy up and leave, huh?
Beat the pussy up and bounce. Leave anything on the
typical danger zone.
Typical danger zone.
Oh my God.
Last time I did that, I stuck around.
Look at your ass now.
I've been around for a while now. Created a residency for myself. But let me get into my EDM shit. So if you guys have like,
show us, Joe.
I have the luxury of, I can't show you. I have the luxury of playing
put your setup on the screen.
of EDM in a night, and you're probably about 30-40% of it I'm gonna play at the Grand in Memoir, and in some cases Vegas. So my first song is gonna, like, my first 5 to 7 songs are gonna be familiar songs with EDM drops, all energy. So I have that organized in that way, and then I know I'm gonna have a second wave of that. So I have that. If I scroll a little bit lower, I have a clump of that, and then I like to get into the Latin stuff. So I have chunks of that all within my up-tempo EDM crate. There's really, and again, that's a numeric system, so I can always rearrange this and make it however I want. If I have a bunch of rock buildups, I'm gonna clump all those together because there's gonna be that moment where you go about 7 minutes straight of Queen and
Some
like
AC/DC?
some ACDC. Like
Some Bon Jovi?
if you have that luxury to do that, simplify
I
it
should
and
go
do
off in
that.
Boston, don't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Last time I played what's the Neil Diamond joint? Sweet Caroline.
Sweet Caroline.
Last time I played that was at Patrick Malloy's in 2009. But when I started doing the Grand, I'm like, oh man, I know y'all. I mean, I don't know. Maybe the VIP hosts hate that
Been
shit.
doing this shit since 09.
Man.
Yeah. So yeah, man, like just stick to what you're gonna play. If you have like 3 or 4 trap tracks that are fucking for sure heaters, go to those. And then I'm gonna have a transition track right under that to get me from trap to back to hip hop, something really smooth within the same kind of rhythm and you know, whatever. It's all about, to me, it's all about the transitions.
Yeah.
All about transitions. How are you gonna get from your first 10 songs to the next 10 songs if you're switching up BPMs? And then from that 8 to 10 songs to the next 8. What are your transition tracks to make this seem like one smooth set?
Are you guys using a lot of transition records?
No.
When I go up tempo, yeah. But other than that, or when I go down,
Yeah. I never use them.
I have like 2. Or I'm one honestly that I can like think of that I'll play more than often. I don't know. I'll give 2. Showing love to Quickie, who made the Usher transition up to 130.
I don't have that one.
And then the Be Faithful,
that's a good one.
the 130 to 101 transition.
That's one of my transitions.
Yeah.
I have a crate from like 2010 of a bunch of transition records, but I don't ever use them.
Yeah, I know. I don't really go into it.
Yeah.
I just off memory. Do you want to jump into this? You want me to get it?
I mean, I base mine off memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and that's funny because I'm the pothead. But mine's is, it's similar. You know, my songs have a genre that they live in. We're talking about hip hop, and then obviously I break down the hip hop, pop, whatever, and then I just make crates of whatever spots I have. If I'm doing residencies or whatever, so it's just like, all right, cool, and I just break the folders up, the sub crates into, I guess, quote unquote moments. So the warm up, the climax for the ladies, end of the night. And then my quick mix, like, just whatever tracks I'm using the quick mix to build energy.
Yeah.
And then and I just, whatever is appropriate. And then specifically, this some part of the night, I'm going to be in one of those folders. You know what I'm saying? And it could be all hip hop shit, but it's broken down into those categories. You know what I'm saying? And then let's say I'm in this particular spot.
Yep.
And it's all hip hop, whatever. My residency's in San Diego, like all hip hop shit, right? Then I want to be like, all right, I could play, I don't know, I could play some shit that I play at like Cherry Poppin' or whatever. Like I can get into my Afrobeat bag or my Latin bag, or, if I'm doing, whatever, I can go in there and just, whatever. So it's all, I think for me, it's mostly based off of memory.
And that's what works for you.
And that's what works for me. You know what I mean? Just breaking it down. And like I said, all these, these folders, I try not to let these folders, these subcrates get crazy.
Yeah.
And I'll go in there and I'm like, okay, I'm not playing this shit. I haven't played this shit in months. You know what I mean? And I'll take it out.
Yeah.
Or I'll make another folder and put it in there and be like, just in case.
Yeah.
I might have to go there, but it's mainly just like, it's just off the top. You know what I mean? Because it's always hard for me, even if you have a residency, that doesn't mean every week is going to be you're playing the same shit in pretty much the same order. Like it could be different every time. So it's just like, all right, I'm just trying to add more music or just find different ways. And we've talked about this before, where we have our little sets, whether it's wordplay or just energy or whatever it is. Yeah. And we just kind of like, all right, I'm gonna do this little set that I have here. Boom, that worked. And then move on and so on, just basically reading off the crowd and shit like that. So it's pretty, I think my method is pretty simple.
We're pretty similar, and I kind of figured we would be because we kind of set up our Seratos right around the same time.
Yep.
My core music library lives in a MikiWAR's music folder, and that folder used to be the main attention and storage for everything. And then as time goes by and you get more music and DJcity constantly updating you with the dopest shit, like you got to keep up, right?
Yep.
So I would, that first core library was broken down to, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then 90s. Well, 80s and 90s became like, I need to like sub-crate this stuff. So I'd have subfolders for those crates.
When you say 80s, 90s, you mean BPM or
No,
actual
I'm saying
genre?
the genre. So I would break down my main library under genre. So like if I did 90s, I would have, what I would call
R&B.
high top hip hop, which is, and then I would break it into like R&B. I would break it into, and then hip hop would have its own diversification, where it was like golden era, East Coast, West Coast, right? And then hyphy. Hyphy was actually rap to me more than it was hip hop. Even so, rap and hip hop was a different thing.
Oh shit!
And then R&B was like I had a lovey crate, I had a party crate, I had a different energies.
Yeah,
and I would take that into every genre, right? What was really popular with us growing up was listening to DJ Ron on the Aquanet set.
Oh yeah, I got an Aquanet set crate.
Yeah, so I got an Aquanet crate where it breaks into disco and electro and new wave or freestyle and different things like that. And so that first library was almost untouched, right? Yeah. Even when I told you when I did Sidebar and I felt like, in my head, I'm like, I need another 6 to 8 minutes worth of a set to sneak in. What did I do? Let me go back to my old crates, which is funny because when we were doing setting up our crates in 2000, call it 8, 9, 10, where we're really moving things around. And I had the rap, hyphy, snap, crunk, snap, crunk era. I was like, let me jump in this folder, and then boom, here's a whole crate worth of shit that I can consolidate. Yeah. Where it used to be 10 minutes or 15 minutes of my set, now I could do a quick little 6 to 7 throwback.
And just play the heaters.
It's going down, grills, lean with me, rock with me, whatever, some cut, right? And so now, fast forward, when things did speed up for me, what I do is I call them timeline crates. And so literally, anytime I go download music, whether it has to be more than 10 songs, they live in my download folder. And then as soon as I'm done downloading, and it's usually 10 to 30 songs, and then it could be any genre, I'm going to make a crate. Let's say if I downloaded it today and today's date is February 11th, then I would do 20, which is a year, right? Mm-hmm. .02 February, .11. And so now that crate takes all the songs, and that folder then gets dragged into the timeline folder. The timeline folder is its end storage. When I go into my Serato, I go to my unsorted timeline, and then I go to the folder, drag the entire folder into Serato, and then I drag that crate into the timeline crate, which is now broken down from 2020 all the way to 2016, which was like the first time I started doing a timeline. And then now I can literally go by the day, by the month of when I brought that song into the thing. Now, I don't really scroll in there unless it's the month or the year of the song. But from there, then I know where I want to take those songs. And then that's when I drag them into its proper home. But for me, my approach to the crates that I play off of versus what I organize with, because I think the real question that everybody's having on Twitter and the conversation is, what's the next move after iTunes is gone, right? And so with iTunes being gone and the era of download slowly making its transition out over the next couple of years, because that's where it's headed. Yeah. That's why Beatsource is birthed as well, right? Even though it's a download place right now. Yeah. But eventually we're all headed to streaming. Yeah. And so moving away from iTunes and using that as its organizational tool, I think the way it's got to work is, for now, it's probably going to live as a folder thing, or unless Serato introduces a different way for you to connect your iTunes playlist, right? But I think you got to just like drag those songs, copy them into folders, and then just keep them that way, and then drag them back as crates. But what I was going to get at, and my core approach to all this organization is I look at every venue like I'm a sports team ready to attack a certain other team. And I have a scouting report. And I know what works and I know what doesn't work. And I basically set up a primary folder that at the moment is called Something Fun. And because I want my night to be more fun, and I'm corny and I use emojis because, we have that capability. And so I'll put a little water gun, or like depending on what venue it is, like San Diego's got surfer dudes. Like, and if I do a girl set, I'll put like the girl emoji, like, because it stands out some more. And what I'll do is I'll set up just like you, like the vibras, right? Like Afrobeat, Latin. I'll set up the warm up, right? The joints, the recurrence, the 100 BPMs, the 2010s. And then I'll do like, the main hits. I'll do something where I call it sneakers. Like it's something I could sneak in maybe throughout the night, but I don't know if it's going to hit, right? And then I'll jump through that main crate and then into specific crates when I feel the energy needs to stay there.
Yeah, in that pocket for a minute.
Now, what is essential for me is that first time around at that venue, because to me, that ends up being kind of the foundation. Mm-hmm. And then from there, every gig I do that's successful, I go into the history, drag that date into my crates. Mm-hmm. And then I have a San Diego crate. I have a LA crate. I mean, Playhouse has its own crate. Avenue has its own crate. Prohibition has its own crate. Every venue I play, for the most part, has its own crate.
Yeah, same.
And then now, and every time I go in there, my sneaker folder changes all the time. Mm-hmm. My cater to the staff all the time. One time I cater to a specific table, right? And so like, I know that that'll all live there. And then what I try to do is either in chunks, go through what I feel works, or I just hit the all Playhouse, all Avenue, all whatever, and then play off the main one while keeping in mind whatever I brought in more recently to play, like in the timeline or in sneakers. And then that's essentially like the main recipe of like my approach into specific nights. Mm-hmm. So,
have you do you use the date added option within Serato?
I do all the time.
I do, but not a lot, because the timeline kind of serves that for me. Mm-hmm. And so instead of it being in one folder, like or looking through it, because one of the things I have an issue with is like with tagging, I get it, and Kid Spin does this really well. I still forget how the hell he does it, but he has a way where he's got like a middle window open inside of Serato. And if he types in a BPM, it'll go to that BPM and it'll like organize whatever. And then like with tags, if you type in a tag, it'll come up everything with that tag. And then now you got to scroll. But if you exit out of the search bar, that's a problem, because now it erases everything that you just searched and you got to redo it. You got to retype it again. I'll say also this to why I also do what I do is because I do also play off memory and I bring in songs off memory. I have a decent typing speed, mm-hmm. and I'm constantly Command F type.
Yup, type. Exactly.
And like it for me, it's literally that and whatever song will pop up, because I've been on computers for so long as a kid. Yeah. And so I've seen or spoken to other DJs that do type, kind of like different sticks. And I can see that being an issue if, you're not like the keyboard stuff.
I will say, go to Jason Craig's Facebook page, and he has a template for smart crates. We didn't talk about that. If you guys are into that, check that out. I recommend you hitting up DJ P. on Twitter and seeing the video that he has on YouTube. However you guys want to do it, you got to do what works best for you and what's the quickest. if you're going to be stuck searching for a track within whatever, whether it's within a crate or it's you just have to search for it, and your track's running out, you know, that's not the most efficient way of going about your set. So whatever, you know, I understand for some of you that want to be creative and kind of do it on the fly. Well, you know, why not have those tracks ready to go? So you're, you know, like you can game plan that.
Yeah,
right? You can say,
sure.
oh, it would have been dope if I added this, this, and this. Let me just have that ready just in case, because I know that's going to hit them upside the head. You guys ever get DJ nightmares?
What?
Who me?
Like
DJ nightmares.
like you like.
Before I got organized, this was like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I think summer 2017 when I did Shrine, I haven't had this nightmare since. But before that, every so often, I would get this DJ nightmare where I would be in a club setting and a song's playing and I'm scrolling and I just don't know what to play and I'm stuck. I got all these songs and I'm just scrolling and still looking for that song, still looking. And it's a fucking nightmare. It's in that moment, I'm embarrassed. I feel like quitting. I feel like, you guys never had that?
Not in real life.
Yeah. I was like, that's happened to me in real life. Shit.
Sounds like something happened in real
life.
I think when I first came back, I'm going to be honest with you. When I first came back, I had a couple moments where I was just stuck. And it was because I hadn't done my proper homework or research like what we're talking about. And one of the things that I constantly do now is whether it's on Spotify, I'm always making a download folder. I'm always making like essentially what I'm going to turn into a crate later.
Sure.
But I've had that moment in real life. I probably at Mansion when I first came back and I was like, what the hell do I play?
Yeah.
Like, and sometimes you just get stuck and you're like, fuck, this is the one time I chose to play the 2-minute song. What's wrong with me? Like, you know, like, and anyway, yes.
You have brain farts, you know?
So but once I got organized, I haven't had, like, once I really started diving into my sets and dissecting and really wrapping my head around it, I haven't had that nightmare since. But it's I can tell when a DJ's stuck, and I'm sure you guys can too, when a song that you let ride for 3 minutes probably shouldn't be riding for 3 minutes, and then the next song isn't the best song to follow it up with. And you're just like, man, he's like, he doesn't know what to play, or he doesn't know where to go with
you
this.
know there's something's going on, regardless if it's
I mean, maybe someone kicked your laptop over or something.
Or somebody's spending $10,000 at the table and you got to play the record.
Or someone's spending that money.
I don't know if you answered this question, though. Did Sincere apologize to you? Did he even realize he kicked your laptop?
So on the mic, he, not to take too long, but on the mic, he looked at me and he wasn't very sincere at all and said,
well, that's not on brand.
At
least with the name.
He said he didn't apologize because it's that for some reason that stood out to me. And I was shocked. I still couldn't believe it happened. And he said, it's all good. I got it. Like,
nigga, you do got it.
Mike, apologies aren't selling bottles.
Shit.
Okay?
He said,
that shit's for the birds.
He said, don't trip. I got it. In so many words. Like I'll go buy it. Right? I'll buy you a new one. And I took that and I was like, that's cool.
He meant it like
don't trip, I got bread.
I got your laptop.
Yes.
I thought he meant don't trip because of the dead air. I'm gonna take care of this.
No. Yeah. No, he definitely better have that too. But he I can't remember. I'm almost pretty sure he said, like, I got you, I could buy you 2 of those. And I was just like, bro, whatever. And all I cared about was that the fucking laptop came back. The screen wasn't broken. And then actually when I inspected it later, because it didn't hit me until later, that it had fell. No dents, no issues.
Nope.
I had plugged it into my computer screens at home. I have the dual joints. And then like one of the screens was tripping. I'm like, fuck. It's like some internal shit. And then all I did was reset it and it was fine.
Oh, okay.
I was like, so I'm straight. We're good.
That's good. Yeah,
Nobody owes me money.
That thing is a tank.
But yeah, this shit's a tank. But to get back to this whole crate thing, like, I think it's just important to know. And I do believe, and I don't think we're the pickiest of organizers with tags and different things like that. If we had to give additional advice because we want to be informative, shout out to Phenom, who was one of the original guys to kind of also give us some songs. I'll give him his flowers. He used to have this thing called Gems. And you knew that if you typed in Gems, it was a big record.
Exactly.
Now, music and clubs have changed since then, so it might be a little different. Each venue might have its different gems.
Yeah. And you probably, maybe you don't know the songs that well, so you put in something like a gem to take you to. But also the best thing you can do is know the songs.
Yeah.
Understand them.
100%.
I start, at one point, I was putting a color to 70 BPM tracks that were 8 bars.
That's what I use.
That were all
colors,
energy. I was like, okay, this is good. If I just look at the green colors, it doesn't matter what the song is. It's a guaranteed smash, and I'm only letting it ride for 8 bars, so I can just go to the next color. But then it was just another extra thing for me to do, I guess.
Yeah.
So I just stopped. If I can look at a clump of tracks as opposed to, I don't know, a color, like I want to kind of see what I'm playing. But, that's for some of you that might work. Like using the colors, that shit. Transition tracks were purple.
Yeah, I definitely
I just click on purple.
I definitely use the colors for whatever reason, you know what I mean? If it's like brand new shit that I just downloaded that I feel like definitely needs to get played, and like you said earlier, it may get lost in your playlist, I'll definitely like organize it as a color. So like if you're scrolling and you see a color, and I like that, I don't like to have the colors stacked up on each other.
Yeah. Because
there could be a time where I want to play this track, and then I want to see where the surrounding tracks that I can play around it, whether it's how I categorized it, either do vibe or do BPM or whatever, you know what I'm saying? So I definitely use the color function.
And I'm gonna say this, like we might not be like the best examples of like
I'm for sure not
who to coach you through this organizational tool, because for us, we're in that case where we're still active DJs, we're still traveling, we're still doing our thing,
we're still learning
and learning.
Yeah.
But we're also not prioritizing the look or the tag, or I know guys, like I think radio guys might use like red is always the first cue.
Sure. Yeah.
Yellow is the 4 bars in. Green is when it starts the record. And then I remember somebody having like a blue one where it's at the outro, right, of the song. And so in case you ever want to scratch out, boom, you can hit it, and then it'll color coordinate your pad or whatever.
Yep.
And all those things are great tools. But I think there's also the difference between how you practice and how you perform. And as much as it'd be nice to have a clean looking, uniformed, everything's in all caps or everything's in proper casing or, whatever. And don't forget there's also other columns you can use, the composer, the album, the notes, besides just the notes, right? There's all these different columns that you can utilize to help coordinate different records, and then essentially just turn on subcrates and it'll organize everything for you from doing the all. But I think at the end of the day, I think we tend to prioritize what's going to help us execute at
it can mean your next
battle.
booking.
Yes.
That gap of not knowing what to play and it smells like you don't know what to play, that can literally be your next booking. Yeah. So if you guys aren't exactly inspired to look at your Serato and say, how can I simplify? And after every set, that's what I do. How could I have done that better? Like, sit in front of your shit and just figure out what's the simplest way for me to get this out to the people, because I want it to be seamless and smooth. And if the right people hear it, it could be your next booking, or it cannot be your next booking. That you may not get the call back because you didn't sound like you had it all together. You went 1 for 15 from the field. Yeah.
Don't get stuck trying to like create a new move or do a move that is not in your bag. Like if 2 songs go well together and you felt like, all right, this is a dope blend. Yeah, your homies could be in the room and they can feel like, oh, I've heard him do this transition.
Fuck them fools. They ain't paying you.
Work into ballin', every hip hop set. But at the end of the day, the crowd is always singing
100%.
it. The people are always spending money, and it's all about the success of that. It's not about not repeating yourself. Like, find what works, execute to the best of your ability.
Exactly.
And just set yourself up for success, man. Like, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, man. Great informative episode, gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Try.
So we're done here.
We are done here.
Got it all off our chest.
Episode 32.
33.
In the
Patrick
books.
Ewing, baby.
Patrick Ewing. All right, we'll give you
Scotty.
Patrick Ewing. I'll give it
Scotty
to you.
dunking on Patrick. Ooh.
Stop it.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Don't disrespect.
And you got the New York Knicks
Yeah.
colorway going.
All right. Well, we'll catch you guys next time.
Yeah.